watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today, a conversation about anti-Islamophobia training at the Toronto District School Board, Peel District School Board with Eman Zahid. But first, some news headlines. Ontario Legislature rejects vote to bring anti-Islamophobia bill back. Montreal minority groups call for equity in government expense on crime prevention. Hundreds expected at Mosquers Film Festival this weekend. Danish government faces backlash for double standard in refugee treatment. And now the details. London West MPP Peggy Sattler fell short of a unanimous vote on Wednesday to bring Bill 86, the Our London Family Act, back to the Ontario Legislature for consideration. The bill would designate safe zones around religious places, create new resources against racism in schools, issue a provincial review on hate-related incidents, and prevent supremacist groups from registering as societies in Ontario. The NDP introduced the bill last month, after which it was sent to the Standing Committee on Justice Policy for review. Bills not passed before legislation dissolves for the June election will die on paper. English-speaking advocates for Black and minority groups criticised the Quebec government for its unequal allocation of funds for crime prevention in Montreal. Analysis of Ministry of Public Security data shows that 68% of $1.65 million goes to French-speaking communities in the East End. 32% went to the West End. Groups speaking at a Research Action on Race Relations conference Wednesday say they are excluded from provincial consultations on crime prevention. Board member of the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, Shaheen Ashraf, told local media sources that only groups who agree with the government were invited to an ongoing summit on armed violence. Mosquers Film Festival returns to Edmonton, Alberta this weekend for the first time since 2019. Around 100 short film entries from across the world were submitted. 10, including 3 from Alberta, have been shortlisted for screening at the festival. Actors and filmmakers that provide a unique outlook on Muslim experiences are eligible for awards from a pot of 10,000. Filmmaker Zaka Nawaz, light calligrapher Karim Jabari, and singer Kayem are among the many expected to attend. The festival started in 2006 as a way to celebrate talented Muslim individuals within the entertainment industry and foster positive representation of Muslims. The Danish government is being accused of hypocrisy over their plan to suspend asylum rules and grant urgent residency permits to Ukrainian refugees, while the Danish government is asking Syrian refugees to go home, even though they will be in danger. All refugees are treated equally within the asylum system, says the Danish government, according to media sources. Ukrainians won't have to give up some of their valuables, as have Syrian refugees. Head of Refugees Welcome Denmark, Michala Klante Bendixen, told local media sources that the differences in treatment show more value for white lives. And that's it for the news. The Council of Agencies Serving South Asians, or CASSA, has been working with the Urban Alliance on Race Relations on a project to bring systemic change around Islamophobia to the Toronto District School Board and Peel District School Boards, which are both in Ontario. We welcome today their Community Outreach Coordinator, Eman Zahid. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Now, we understand that you have been reaching out to these 2 different school boards to work on anti-Islamophobia training. Tell us what the project will involve.
So this project looks at racial equity in education. And really the purpose of CASSA in this project is to equip Muslim high school students, as well as parents and guardians, with advocacy skills in order to build capacity within the community and to really equip them with the tools and skills necessary to mobilize campaigns. So our project involves engaging the Muslim youth and parents by conducting various volunteer trainings and skills workshops, identifying and pursuing the campaigns that are of interest to them, and holding community forums and conferences, because a big part of it is really the community involvement piece. So right now we are working towards specific policy changes at the level of regional school boards and the provincial government that our student and parent volunteers are determining.
The school board level is a policy level, and then the project sounds like it's around empowering young people with skills. How do they match up?
Well, I think this was, one of the most inspiring parts of the project for me specifically, because being able to work with Muslim high school students and just really seeing the potential that the Muslim youth have. I mean, they're very educated, they're very motivated, they are aware of current events and are really working hard to keep themselves informed. And so that's just been really inspiring and hopeful to see when I look back to myself in high school. I mean, I wasn't really aware of anything and it really didn't have an interest in that aspect. And I think that the students of today are a lot more politically aware. They're a lot more motivated and just very willing to have that change. So it's been very inspiring working with the youth.
I'm glad that's been inspiring. Some scholars who have been doing interviews with what they call the post 9/11 generation, which these high schoolers would definitely fit into, find actually a range of responses. Some students feel what they call the collective trauma, which leads to anxiety and depression and other mental health issues. And there's also a sense of what they encounter as anti-Muslim microaggressions or macroaggressions as sort of normal, that they don't even notice, in fact, because it just is normal to them. So is your project going to try to address those issues as well?
Yeah, great question. So we've really been working on breaking down those barriers and establishing some of that learning that really happens. And these high school students, their experiences in high school are really going to shape the rest of their lives, the ideals that they hold dear. So we're working very hard to really instill that anti-racism, anti-oppression learning in them, teach them how to identify microaggressions, and specifically things like online hate, how to counter it, how to report it, and then how to deal with it afterwards. Because of course, like you mentioned, there is this collective trauma that is held by the Muslim students of today. And so it really is about giving them the skills and the tools necessary to be able to make change and be able to take care of themselves alongside it.
That's so important. And I think the Muslim community is actually a bit late in the game in helping prepare people for that. I converted way back in 1994, which is a long time ago, but I started experiencing hateful comments and remarks, especially on the subway and in shopping malls, leaving me speechless. I had no idea how to cope or how to deal with it. And it leaves you upset and rattled for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. Can you give us one tip, like one example of a coping tool or thing that you're going to be sharing with a student?
Yeah, definitely. So we really try to bring in a lot of self-evaluation, kind of just checking in on yourself. So what we found is that with a lot of these students, these microaggressions, these comments and these stereotypes, they just kind of assume them as normal. And this is just their day-to-day life. And so it's really about finding the balance of explaining to them that this is not normal and how you can cope with that. So I think that one thing that's been very helpful for the students is having a community that understands what you're going through, that has the same experiences as you do. And so the Muslim community, Muslim students are really scattered all over the Ontario school boards. And so I think this volunteering experience has allowed them to connect with like-minded people and be able to share their concerns. So I definitely think that reaching out to a community or somewhere where you can get some support and some care from loved ones, someone who has the same experience as you, really benefits and really helps them to get out of that space.
Now, I understand that the Peel District School Board has gone ahead and formed a committee to help bring this project through, but there's a little bit of dragging at the feet of the Toronto School Board. And you had to initiate a letter writing campaign to get organisations to sign in and write to the school board in Toronto to basically say, this is a really good project, please bring it about. Can you talk to us a little bit about the letter writing campaign?
Yeah, definitely. So the letter writing campaign was really a great way to utilize all of our various avenues and points of entry that we have as a community organization. And when approaching the TDSB about this project, we were told by administration to reach out to the Muslim trustees for this motion. They believed that they would be a better fit for this campaign. However, we didn't really receive a response. And so it was kind of difficult to move that forward, which is kind of what brought about the letter writing campaign. Because we really want to use it to showcase the desire and the need in the Muslim community for this sort of change. And so
how many people did you get sign on? How many organizations signed on to your campaign?
So we have about 25 community organizations that have signed on to our campaign. We received really great feedback from the community, a lot of wonderful organizations that do a lot of great work in the Muslim community, such as the Black Muslim Initiative, Canadian Council of Muslim Women, many educational institutions such as the Islamic Foundation of Toronto, Gibraltar Leadership Academy, as well as the Muslim Advisory Council of Canada. So some great organizations that have signaled their support for this change.
What's one of the themes that you're seeing, or one really strong comment that you've seen in the letters as a pitch to the TDSB to move forward with this?
I think same thing with just like the letter writing campaign, to really just showcase the desire and the need in the Muslim community for this sort of change. And when we were approaching a lot of community organizations with this letter, a lot of them had to say the same thing, that this has been a long time coming, and this is some great work that you're doing, and we really need this change. I think one of the notable things that we've seen is that the Muslim community really wants this. Education is the foundation for our youth, and the experiences that they have, the things that they learn, it affects their futures, their ideals, and the beliefs that they hold dear. And so the Muslim community is rallied behind this cause for the sake of our next generations.
The project you mentioned, signing up youth, is this a pilot project? You'll be going forward and running it again with different cohorts? Are you going to be taking it around Ontario or around Canada? What are the next steps?
So this is definitely a pilot project we've had. We're currently on our second volunteer cohort. And this is really a groundbreaking project in the sense that nothing like this has ever really been done before. And so we are hoping to secure funding for the next 3 years to keep continuing the work and really work to institute these policies at a higher level.
Well, we're almost out of time, but do you have any memorable moment from a student, something that really brought tears to your eyes or moved your heart about their experience in the project?
Yeah, definitely. It's been very impactful hearing their experiences of Islamophobia and the just subtle racism that they experience at school. But something that's really touched my heart is that these students are so motivated. I mean, this is they're volunteering, so they're receiving volunteer hours and a couple of honorariums here and there, but that's about it. And they're putting aside this time and this effort simply because they believe that this is a cause that deserves their time. And so that really means a lot to me, because I think that the Muslim students and the youth being so involved and so passionate about this is just really, it's very inspiring. It does definitely.
It gives us good hope for the future when they become the leaders of tomorrow, when we're all old and decrepit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on the show and joining us to tell us about the project.
Thank you for having me here.
You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Stay safe, share, like, and subscribe. God bless.